Is here, Dodgers Nation. The Dodgers have a Game 1 starter for the NLDS. How the Dodgers won 100 games. We got awards too. That's coming up next on Dodgers Dugout Live. What is up, Dodgers Nation? D-Mac here. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. And today we're coming at you live with an episode of Dodgers Dugout. We're going to be coming at you Monday through Friday in the mornings. We're going to be talking all things Dodgers baseball, everything you need to know about your boys in blue. And this show is brought to you by the Dodgers Nation app. Also, Gear Up LA. If you want the best Dodgers merch in the game, head over to gearup.la. But we're going to get into this one, and we're going to talk about first how this Dodger team was able to win 100 games. Because I know how it feels like the Dodgers are just going to roll out of bed and win 100 games, and it happens every single season. That wasn't the case this year. This year was a totally different scenario because you had all the rookies, because you had tons of injuries. And let's talk about this Dodger team. You win 100 games. They beat the Giants yesterday. My final score of 5-2, 100th win of the season. And yes, it did hurt me. We didn't get the 60th double for Freddie Freeman. Almost feels like when Matt Kemp didn't get 40 home runs, Mookie didn't get to 40 home runs on the year. But the most important thing, you get 100 wins, and you also leave San Francisco healthy, right? You didn't have that injury to Chris Taylor. It felt like this Giants team forgot how to baseball over this weekend. And thankfully, it's nothing serious. They said it was a little contusion. He's going to be just fine. But 100 wins for this Dodgers team. And you look at what they've been able to accomplish. They became the 8th team in Major League Baseball history to win 100 games in 3 consecutive seasons. Going back to 2019, when they set their franchise record with 106 wins, they became the first team in MLB history to win 100 games in 4 consecutive full seasons. Okay, and in 2020, they were on pace to win well over 100 games. So you're talking about a team that's on a historic run. And I know we'll get to the postseason. We'll get to October. We'll cross that bridge this weekend when the Dodgers take on the winner of the Brewers and the Diamondbacks on Saturday. But for now, can we just take a second and just enjoy this, show some gratitude, reflect a little bit on a season that was supposed to be the transition year? It was supposed to be the rebuilding season, but the Dodgers still managed to win 100 games. And I know you're going to see it out there. Everyone's going to post the Kobe meme where Kobe says, job not finished, job not finished, job not finished. Am I supposed to be happy? Job's not finished. Hey, yeah, Kobe said that, but how about this? He also said the dream is the journey, and this is what this Dodgers team is on. They're on a journey, and we're going to break down how this team was able to do it. Because what if I told you at the beginning of the season, when everyone out there, every single expert in the game had this Dodgers team winning 90 to 92 games, Fangraphs projected them to win 88 games, and they exceeded those expectations. My preseason prediction was that they would win 97 games, so they even exceeded my expectations. What if I told you, though, during spring training, when they lost their starting shortstop, Gavin Lux, to an ACL injury, their opening day starting rotation was Julio Urias, Clayton Kershaw, Dustin May, Noah Syndergaard, Michael Grove, and you lose Ryan Pepiot to an oblique injury even before the season started. And you look at their opening day starter in Julio Urias. He goes down throughout the season. He was having one of the worst years of his career with a 4.60 ERA, and then ultimately he gets arrested on domestic violence charges, and he's gone. Dustin May, he was emerging as an all-star. It was Dustin Mania in full effect. He had a 2.63 ERA, a sub-1 whip, and 9 starts. They lose him for the year on a flexor tendon UCL surgery. Then Tony Gonsolin, the Catman, he was pitching all year with a UCL injury, and he's someone that they lose. Clayton Kershaw, their best pitcher, made the All-Star team at a 2.55 ERA. They lose him for nearly 2 months with a shoulder injury. And when he goes down, the Dodgers had a 5.14 ERA during that stretch. And how about this? Noah Syndergaard, he was a complete bust. Syndergaard was Syndergone. They trade him. He had 53 starts from rookie pitchers, 9 rookie debuts, 16 rookies contributed to this team. Daniel Hudson goes down. Walker Buehler doesn't come back. I mean, it feels like what could go wrong did go wrong at some point for this Dodgers team. But you know what? This is a credit to this Dodgers organization. The foundation that they have built, when you have a strong foundation, you can overcome any storm, and this Dodgers team did just that. And just look at other teams out there. It was about the Padres, right? The Padres this, the Padres that. I still feel like they're a team that's going to celebrate no matter what they do, and they were supposed to run away with this division. Where are they now? SD stands for season done. right? They're a team where they were all at the Padres convention there, the Padres Fest, Padres Con. You had Fernando Tatis Jr. saying it doesn't matter who they play in the World Series, they're going to win anyway. That team's in Cancun right now. That team is going to be on the couch. Meanwhile, your Los Angeles Dodgers, they win. I mean, you could have scheduled those Padres eliminated posts back in mid-June, right? Because this team didn't have the depth of the margins like the Dodgers have. Then there's San Francisco, the team that beat the Dodgers back in 2021, the regular season, snapped that regular season NL West streak. Where are they now, right? They're a team that is off. I mean, SF stands for season finish. I mean, October is here, and if you need a costume and you're in the San Diego or San Francisco area, just go to one of their ballparks because it's going to be a Spirit Halloween Superstore come today, whereas the Dodgers, they're getting ready at Dodger Stadium to host the NLDS. So give a lot of credit to this Dodgers organization, give a lot of credit to Dave Roberts, and here's Dave Roberts after the game yesterday talking about the season that they had.
And I couldn't be so more proud of these guys to persevere from day one, to come together as a team from everybody. I mean, it's scouting, player development, front office, it's coaches, staff, obviously, and most importantly, the players. What they've done, it's pretty remarkable. And for me, just to have the best seat in the house each night to watch these guys go out there and compete to ultimately win 100 ball games, that's quite a feat. And so we're going to enjoy tonight. Enjoy the plane ride home and get ready for the first round of the postseason.
And I think my biggest takeaway from that is Dave Roberts talking about the organization, right? The depth that they have. When you look at everyone from the front office to the scouting to the development, this to me was a testament to this organization and how they're run from top to bottom. But how specifically did they get this done? How did they win 100 games? Well, first things first, number one, their superstars played like superstars. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Mookie and Freddie are the best duo in Los Angeles since Kobe and Shaq, and they both had career years. Mookie Betts' final numbers, he had 307, had 39 bombs, 40 doubles, 107 RBIs, 126 runs scored. He's the second Dodger ever to hit 300 with at least 35 bombs and 40 doubles, 100 RBI, 125 runs. The other is Babe Herman in 1930. And the last big leaguer to ever accomplish that feat was Albert Pujols, our old Theo. They're the designated hugger there in 2021, who did in 2004. So Mookie, he had the best year of his career, in my opinion, when you consider how much his team needed him on this squad. And then Freddie Freeman was outstanding. He didn't finish with 30 home runs on the year or 60 doubles, but still 29 bombs for Freddie, 59 two-baggers, 23 stolen bases. He's the only player in big league history with at least 20 home runs and 20 stolen bases and 55 doubles. And I want to say this too. He had 2 triples on the year. Next year, Freddie, how about you pull up on one of those triples, you stay at second, and you end up with 60 doubles. You become the first guy to do that since 1936. But no, it gives them something to work for next season. But the Dodgers literally got the very best version of Freddie Freeman, the very best version of Mookie Betts. That's a big reason why they won this year. And then their offense absolutely carried this team. Now, we're not used to that here in Los Angeles, right? It's about pitching. In fact, since 1958, when the Dodgers moved to Los Angeles, they had the lowest ERA in Major League Baseball. But this year, the offense had to step up. They scored 906 runs. The first time they scored 900 plus runs since moving to Los Angeles. It was the first time. It was the 6th time in their 140-year history of the franchise that the Dodgers have scored at least 900 runs. So we're talking about 4 of those seasons came after they joined in the National League in 1890. The last before 19 was last time they accomplished that feat was 1953. So lots of runs for this Dodgers team this year, 906 to be exact. Also, they were clutch. An 819 OPS with runners in scoring position, 791 OPS with 2 outs, the best 2-out hitting team in the league, and they kept it 100. What I mean by that is you got 4 guys, first time in franchise history that you had 4 guys that at least 100 RBI. Mookie 107, Muncy 105, JD 102, and Freddie 102. By the way, I'm going to get to your comments, guys. We have a specific section at the end of this segment. We're going to go rapid fire, read all your comments, because I want to know from you down below, what do you think is the biggest reason why this Dodger team was able to prove the experts wrong and win 100 games. I had Buster Olney on this show. Not only did he have the Padres win this division, he had them winning the World Series. And I know that he's probably regretting that a little bit today. And then the next reason, this to me, I haven't heard a lot of people talk about, but it's as big as any, the bullpen turned things around. You guys remember you coming onto my show for the post games. This was an absolute tire fire of a bullpen. The worst in franchise history at one point. They had a 4.77 ERA at one point this season. They had allowed home runs at the highest rate in Dodgers history. Their FIP was the fourth worst. They finished the year, though, with a 3.42 ERA. And in the first half of the season, their 4.43 ERA was 23rd in Major League Baseball. Second half of the season, 2.23 ERA. That was best in baseball. So they completely figured things out. You had a career year from Brusdar Graterol. Ryan Brazier was an absolute great pickup that totally changed his bullpen. Evan Phillips, he was solid. He was steady. He was great for the most part. Shelby Miller. I think you look at this bullpen, themselves a fantastic second half, and they're one of the big reasons why they were able to run away with this division. Number 4, bounce back years from Max Muncy and Chris Taylor. I'm not the big gloating type. I'm not a victory lap guy. That's not what I do. If you go back though and watch the YouTube video where I have my bold predictions, if you go to the 576 mark, I said that Max Muncy would have 36 home runs and have a bounce back year, as did a lot of Dodgers fans, because we know that when Now, I know his defense is definitely going to cause you some stress. There's no doubt about that, but still, offensively, he was phenomenal. Then, next, Chris Taylor, he was below average last year. This year, he had himself a much better year. So he had bounce-back years from CT3 and Max Muncy. And then 5, this is the big one. One of the most important reasons the rookies stepped up. These rookies really became veterans. They emerged. They blossomed before our eyes. And first, you got to start with James. You can't get him Outman. James Outman, he looks like Tarzan, but he doesn't play like Jane, right? He was phenomenal on the season. My projection for him was 800 OPS at 25 home runs on the year. He ends up with a 790 OPS, hits 23 bombs, had a 4.3 F4. That's third for all rookies. And we're talking about someone that had big shoes to fill in Cody Bellinger, and he did a fantastic job doing that. He played above average defense all season long. He improved his reads off the bat. He improved his routes. He got more comfortable in center field, and you saw this sheer athleticism. He was someone who had a great high school football career. He plays that center field like a football player. He was athletic, and he was fantastic. And then you just look at the pitchers this year. Remember this number, 52 starts. 52 starts from rookies this year. 52 out of 162 games, okay? Imagine just making your debut in Major League Baseball, how much pressure there is. But imagine doing that for Los Angeles Dodgers, a team that has World Series aspirations in front of 30, 40, 50,000 people every single night. Give a lot of credit to these rookies for not being afraid of the moment and going out there and really just getting the job done. And they took their lumps. They licked their wounds at times. They had their ups and downs, but for the most part, they were really solid all throughout. And we're going to talk about Bobby Miller a little bit. And then next one, number 6, one-year signings worked out. JD Martinez made the All-Star team at 33 home runs, missed a good amount of time, but he was fantastic. And I want to give credit to Mookie Betts and Robert Van Scoyoc for that one. If those guys aren't Dodgers, I highly doubt he signs with LA, because he had multiple multi-year deals available for him. Signs a 1-year deal with the Dodgers, $10 million, ends up having a great season. Jason Hayward had his best year in years. Hey, everyone's out there saying, oh, Jason Hayward, he's hay-washed and he's going to be bad. He was great for the Dodgers, had his best year in a long, long time. I remember talking to Jason Hayward during spring training, and he told me the biggest key for him was listening to the Dodgers coaches, listening to everything they had to say about his hitting technique, shortening up that swing. He took their advice, ran with it, and had himself a great year. I think David Peralta had stretches where he was really good. Only real bust was Noah Syndergaard. And then 7, I'm probably going to duck for this, Dave Roberts. Dave Roberts, man, give Dave Roberts some love, okay? Can we finally give Dave Roberts some credit? I mean, we're talking about someone who has achieved more as a manager than basically every single manager in Major League Baseball through his 8th season. I mean, through the Dodgers franchise, they established in 1883, 140 seasons for your boys in blue. They've had 100 wins in a year 10 times. Dave Roberts has 5 of them. And if there wasn't a pandemic in 2020, he would have 6. Okay, you're talking about rare air. 2017 wins 104 games. 2019, 106. 2021, 106. 2022 set a franchise record 111 and 51. This year, 162. He's now behind Hall of Fame managers Bobby Cox for the Braves and Joe McCarthy of the Yankees, who led their teams to 6 100-win seasons. So guess what? Like I said, I'm at the Doug for this one, and I know that sometimes it feels like you guys would blame Dave Roberts for the sinking of the Titanic, but he's a good captain, right? He's not the perfect manager. He's the perfect manager for this team. I think he deserves a ton of credit for this team's success this season, managing veterans, managing rookies, going out there, dealing with off-the-field stuff, dealing with the distraction of Julio Urias and everything that entailed, but keeping this core together. And Dave Roberts has said this is his favorite Dodgers team, and I think that it's a real testament to his success. I think this team, his infectious energy rubs off on them, and you see it in play. You see the confidence that the veterans give the younger players. You see a Jason Hayward taking a James Outman under his wing. You see a Clayton Kershaw giving advice to Bobby Miller and Ryan Pepio. Same goes with Lance Lynn. So I think that's a culture that Dave Roberts definitely helped create. And look, the reality is this is someone who's on pace to be a Hall of Fame manager. And I think if he wins this award this year, there's no doubt about it. To me, he should be 100% lock to win the Manager of the Year in the National League. He's been that good. Show Dave Roberts some love. And look, if you don't do fire Dave Roberts, that's fine. I get it. We understand that. But still, I think he's grown a lot as a player too. But coming up in our next segment, the Dodgers have an NLDS starter for Game 1 in place. Was it the right decision to go with Clayton Kershaw? That's coming up next on Dodgers Dugout Live. And here in our next segment, we're going to end. By the way, here in our next segment for Dodgers Dugout Live, I just want to say special shout out to every one of you guys watching us here in the morning time. We appreciate you. Tell your boss I said sorry. Okay. It's okay. You can watch me. We'll do subtitles. You can watch me while you work. You can watch us later. But yeah, it's October. Dodger baseball is here. So we're going to be coming at you Monday through Friday here on Dodgers Dugout Live. And want to get to some of those comments and wrap that last segment up. We got Alexander. Good morning, Doug. Good to be here early. I called it, Doug. Kershaw leading the way. That's from Juan Jimenez. We got Anthony Keene. Roberts is easily the Manager of the Year. Craig Osterberg, Manager of the Year, usually gets fired. There's some truth to that. It's pretty funny. We got, just look at it. Look at the stability they have. Look what happened up in San Francisco with Gabe Kapler, a guy that cares more about the way his beard's lined up and that if he got his morning workout in than winning baseball games. And I feel bad for San Francisco. I mean, imagine the attendance, how it's going to go down with all those single moms not there to go stare at Gabe Kapler and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, just look at that stability. And the Dodgers, they hired Dave Roberts over Gabe Kapler. So it was a great hiring for LA. San Diego didn't want to hire him. And I'm telling you, it's a great move. But to dive into the comments, we're going to jump into our next segment here. Healthy clubhouse equals 100 wins. Unhealthy clubhouse equals 2023 Padres. I mean, yeah, I don't think it's that simple. I think you look at this Dodgers team, they had more time on the injured list than any team in Major League Baseball. You have to consider that. And you look at how poorly the Padres played in one-run games, in extra innings games. I think from a culture standpoint, they proved you can't buy a World Series. It doesn't happen like that. They went and found all the best talent on every corner of the earth. Only problem is the earth is round, right? And the Padres, they learned that the wrong way. And also the curse of Clayton Kershaw. Can't believe they did that. But jumping here to our next segment, Dave Roberts hinted at Clayton Kershaw being the Dodgers' Game 1 starter after Kershaw's final tune-up in San Francisco. He pitched 5 1/3 innings, a 2-run ball. Dave Roberts told reporters, "It's pretty academic. I expect him to come out of this feeling well, given his demeanor and how he felt after the game. And if that's the case, then it seems like it's pretty much a no-brainer." So Clayton Kershaw is going to get the ball in Game 1. And we're going to dive into that topic right here because I think that looking back 2-3 weeks from now, this is going to be a big decision. And it's going to be one that we'll discuss at length if things don't go the Dodgers' way. Now, I will say, Clayton Kershaw's last start against the Giants, it was his best start he's had in quite some time. You saw him throw 8 changeup. You saw the velocity hit 90 miles per hour. So the velo is not a flamethrower. He's not going to be throwing 95 or 96, but the velocity at least was higher than it was a few weeks ago when he was pumping 88 miles per hour. It was his best start he's had in months. And he had 5 strikeouts, had 10 swings and misses, and 6 of those came off that slider. So I always say about Clayton Kershaw, he's a happily married man, but he has a slide piece. As long as he has the feel for that slider and the command of the fastball, he's going to be effective. And that has been the story with him. He's completely reinvented himself from his peak. And I think that for me, the most important thing was that it was the first time he had pitched into the 6th inning since June 27th. So you saw his best stuff, you saw his best velocity, you saw his deepest game, you saw swing and miss with that slider. And look, the reality too is we hold Clayton Kershaw to such a high standard. You guys know I'm a devout Christian, right? I believe in Christianity. We understand that. But we hold him to this ridiculously high standard where if you look at his numbers, even since he's returned from the injury, he leads the team with a 2.23 ERA and 36 1/3 innings of work with 32 punch-outs to 16 walks. So even with diminished stuff, even with shaky command, it's hard to argue with those results. And also on top of that, he's a Saturday starter. He joked about it after the game and talked about the fact that he's a college pitcher now, right? Never went to college, and he's going to be that Saturday starter. And game 1 would be his 4th Saturday start in a row. He's been given at least 5 days of rest in all 8 starts since missing 6 weeks with that left shoulder inflammation. So it will be the 6th time he starts the Dodgers' first game of the postseason, having done so every year from 2013 to 2017. So I think if you're pro Kershaw starting, you have to consider the fact that 1, this is part of his routine now. 1, starting game 1s, and 2, starting on Saturdays. And I think the other big takeaway from this is usually your game 1 starter, when you consider the days of rest, the days off in between games in this series, you could probably say that game 1 could possibly be your game 4 starter, but this won't be the case here because they're going to give him that additional rest. So I think this all but guarantees that you will see a start from Lance Lynn in the NLDS. I think that is inevitable. But yeah, I think Clayton Kershaw, the big hope is he goes out there and he's got command. He has his stuff, and then this offense supports him. But Clayton Kershaw, he talked to reporters after his final start of the season and talked about getting that ball in game 1 and how much he's ready for it.
Well, honestly, when I came back, I didn't really know what to expect. But, I think I give Doc a lot of credit. He's handled it really well, giving me some extra days to kind of get my feet under me. And now I feel pretty good. Actually, I feel like I'm kind of turning a corner health-wise and feel good. So, yeah, ready for the next month. I'm just excited to get to do it. So it'll be fun. And, with the way this year kind of went, I didn't really expect to be in this spot for a lot of reasons. But it's here, and if that happens, I'll be ready. Overall tonight I feel like it keeps kind of trending. So every start, I feel like it's getting a little bit better. Breaking balls are a little more consistent, even through some changeups tonight that got some good results.
So the hope is that he goes out there and he performs well. Hopefully we get the Kershaw of old and not the Kershaw that just looks old, right? We just want some vintage Kersh, not Kersh that looks like he's throwing with a vintage arm. But the good thing is I think that like he said just now, he's trending in the right direction. If he was having setbacks, if you saw the velo stay at around 88 miles per hour, if you saw him getting home runs and getting roughed up and really struggling with that command, then I say maybe you consider not going Clayton Kershaw early in this series, not going with him in game 1. Look, if Max Muncy had played better defense, probably doesn't give up any runs, right? I mean, so I think that he's at a place right now where, yeah, the spectacle of it, game 1 could be his last start at Dodger Stadium, could be his last game 1 start ever. I'm here for it at this point just because I'm excited about the possibility of a Clayton Kershaw, Emmett Sheehan piggyback start potentially. I mean, I think you look at the contrasting styles there. Kershaw going out there, lefty, command, lower velocity. You bring in Emmett Sheehan, who change up bottom of the zone. He can get out lefties, fastball up in the zone, using that slider, mixing things up. I still think that the plan outside of Bobby Miller, who's the only guy you're going to be looking at for a traditional type of start where you can go 6 or 7 innings, it's going to be tag team wrestling. You go out there, you kick butt, and when you get tired, you go out there, you slap your partner in, he goes in and he finishes the job. So I think the path is there for an Emmett Sheehan, for a Clayton Kershaw. Get that to Evan Phillips towards the end of the game. You go Kersh, Sheehan, Phillips, and mix some other guys up there, Brusdar, Gratterall. I mean, the most important thing is that game 1. And I think that they're going to be ready for it more than they were last year. I do think that it was overblown as far as the rest and really the layoff. And we know that baseball is an everyday sport and you want to stay in a rhythm. But let's not forget, like Freddie Freeman said, the Dodgers won game 1. Right? They would have won game 2 if Trey Turner hadn't had that error. They probably would have won that series. No one would be talking about it. Also, too, the Astros, they won last season, and they had the same downtime for the most part. But I guess the only cons, though, only thing that I'm questioning is Bobby Miller. He looked great in his final tune-up of the regular season. He tossed 4 scoreless innings. He allowed a single and a walk with 4 punch-outs. And since September 1st, Bobby Miller, I'm telling you, Bobby Miller's big time. Bobby big time. Bobby Ice. He's someone that is built for this. And since September 1st, is a 3.19 ERA. He leads the team with 36 2/3 innings over 6 starts. He leads the team with 40 strikeouts in that stretch. I think the big takeaway from his last start was you saw better command and better swing and miss and better effectiveness of that changeup. Start prior to that, when he dominated in Colorado, 6 of his 9 punch-outs came via that 4-seam fastball. So this guy, he's got all the infinity stones of pitching, right? He's got a true 5-pitch mix. You see slider, curveball, changeup. Now you're seeing more command of the changeup, and you're seeing swing and miss with the 4-seam fastball up in the zone. If you went into a lab and wanted to build an ace-level starting pitcher, it would be Bobby Miller. 6'5", 220, high velocity, has command of 5 pitches, has that moxie. I talked to prospect Dalton Rushing, the Dodgers' #1 prospect. I interviewed him last week. You can watch that on our YouTube channel. And I asked him about Bobby Miller, and he said, no one's surprised. There's no one that's surprised. This is what he does. This is what he's built for. We knew that when he was going to get that opportunity on a big stage, that this is exactly what they expected. So that's the only issue, because if you get a Bobby Miller in game 1 and you feel good about that, then maybe that's the other move. But other than that, I think you got Kersh game 1, Bobby Miller game 2, and then I think Lance Lynn, he's going to get one of those starts on the road. Hopefully they sweep and you see game 3. But here's something you got to remember when it comes to Lance Lynn. 1, he's pitched better of late. He's more effective. You're seeing him be more efficient. By the way, to me, Saturday night, he got that dog in him, right? Lance Lynn barking at that Giants dugout, saying F you to the Giants. You just got your Dodgers card, right? So I think Lance Lynn, you need some of that in the postseason. You need a guy that's going to go out there and compete on a high level, and I think that he's going to be able to do that. And I think you have to also factor in as well the Diamondbacks and the Brewers. Those aren't the Murderers Row Yankees or the Braves or a team like that. Those offenses aren't elite offenses. So I think you can get away with the Lance Lynn in a game 3. And I also think Ryan Pepiot has earned himself a start. I would like to see a traditional start for Ryan Pepiot, but I still think you're probably going to see one of the opener variety with a Caleb Ferguson in the mix. And I also think you'll see Ryan Yarbrough getting the bulk innings in one of those starts. So I think that's going to be the mix right there. And I think that it was the right decision at the end of the day, because I think it could set the tone for the entire postseason. Because I think we know at this point that Bobby Miller, if he can stay composed and control his emotions, he's going to shove. Bobby's big time. He's got that main character energy. I think by the end of this postseason, Bobby Miller is going to be a household name. I think we can feel confident about him in game 2. So if game 1 doesn't go the Dodgers' way, you use Bobby Miller as that starter, split the series. Or if Kersh has a decent start, goes through the order a few times, possibly, get that ball to Emmett Sheehan, you go up 1-0, then you're feeling really good about the fact that you have a path with a pitching plan. So that, to me, makes perfect sense. But coming up in our final segment here on Dodgers Dugout Live, we're giving out team awards for the season. Team MVP, biggest surprise, biggest disappointment, moment of the year. That's coming up next on Dodgers Dugout Live. And welcome back to Dodgers Dugout Live, presented by our friends over at GearUp.la. For the best Dodgers merch in the game, head over to GearUp.la. Also, be sure to download the Dodgers Nation app. Up to the minute Dodgers news and rumors all season long. You're going to find it right there. You can watch our content over there. We got really cool games. You get scores, highlights, box score. It's essential for all Dodgers fans. But, yeah, what are your thoughts down below on, by the way, if you haven't yet, appreciate that, Diane Schroeder, the fairy godmother of the Dodgers Nation live streams. Keep smashing that like button. Yeah, smash that like button for your Los Angeles Dodgers, who win 100 games. They proved the experts wrong, triple digits, keeping it 100. So definitely smash that like button. Also, Roy Estrada says, how about best third baseman? Yeah, definitely not going to be Max Muncy on that one. But, yeah, let me know, how are you guys feeling about Clayton Kershaw as your game 1 starter? I assume we have some World Series predictions. Adam818 says Dodgers, Orioles. That'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool to see Dodgers, Orioles, because they faced off in the championship of the minor leagues. That'd be kind of neat. And we got to Hope Yarbrough. Last outing was one off from Roy Estrada. Yeah, I think so too. You guys talking about Clayton Kershaw. Yep, Kersh and Shion is the combo from John. Jose says, dude, if it's LA versus Astros, I see what you did right there, adding that extra X. I appreciate that. It's a fire take. For the World Series, Dodgers better win. 2017, LOL. Yeah, to me, I'm trying to manifest that. I want that to be the case. I want to face the Trastros in the postseason. I predicted it last year. I didn't this year, but I would love to see that matchup. So you guys talking about Clayton Kershaw possibly retiring. I don't think that's the case. I personally believe that when you're 56 strikeouts away from 3,000, a club that only has 19 members, you owe it to yourself to come back. Even if it's a Mr. 3,000 situation movie where he's just going for that 56 strikeouts, then you call it a career, then you do that. But also, how about this? One more thought on Clayton Kershaw before we move on to team awards. You notice that during the final Kershaw start, I was looking for maybe seeing Ellen, maybe seeing the kids, maybe seeing Charlie out there. I didn't see any of Clayton Kershaw's family members, okay? If that was his final start, you know they would have been in attendance. And I don't think they were at the game. I think that's something that's relevant. I think that Kersh realizes that there's still a place for him in this game. He still thinks he can be effective. I still think he has it in him, and it's just about staying healthy. That could change. I mean, if they win the World Series, I think it makes sense to ride off from the sunset and that call it a career from that standpoint, but I still think he still wants to pitch and get to 3K. But here in our final segment here on Dodgers Dugout Live, by the way, if you have not yet, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, hit that notification bell, and also tell your friends, hey, this is the postseason. This is October. We're going to be giving you wall-to-wall Dodgers coverage here on the #1 Dodgers YouTube channel. Mornings, afternoons, late night, post-game shows. You guys are going to open your fridge. It's going to be me talking about Dodger baseball. Okay, we are going to be hitting you guys with content wall-to-wall all postseason long. I'm telling you, got a special run from this team. I'm getting those vibes. I feel like Michael Scott. I'm ready to get hurt again, okay? Let's just hope this time we get a parade at Dodger Stadium. But here we got the good point, D-Mac. You're 100% right about the kids and Ellen being in attendance if he's retiring. That's from John. Yeah, I mean, it had to have been the case, right? Mitchell Hopkins says, I hate the media is saying that they only have 3 100-win seasons in a row. The COVID season, they were on pace for over 100. Yeah, Mitchell, I'll stop you right there. They were on pace for 116. There is no way, unless a meteor hit the planet, that 2020 team was not going to win 100 games. They were a lock, and if that's the case, Dave Roberts is already tied with Bobby Cox with most 100-win seasons. So, yeah, I think it's a fantastic point. And look, I understand. Yes, I get it. 100-win seasons. You talk about the postseason. Oh, what have you done for me lately? Doesn't matter if they don't win the postseason. Really? Doesn't matter to you? I personally love driving to work during the summertime, knowing my team won a baseball game, knowing that this team continues to sustain that success. Another thought, too, on that, could you break in that many rookies in a regular season? I mean, in the postseason, right? You need to break them in the regular season. So it was perfect for that. But let's get to these awards, and we're going to start right at the top. Let's start right at the top with best reliever. For some reason, I like this one. And I know what the easy answer is. You could go Evan Phillips, go with Honey Bun, Fireman Phillips. He's someone who definitely didn't have the best year as far as his standards go, as far as last year. Evan Phillips had a 1.14 ERA last year. This year it's at a 2. That number jumped up to the 205 this season. But yeah, I think for Evan Phillips, not the best season for him, but you still see the dominance. I think he really took a stranglehold on that closer's role. I think he's going to be great in the postseason. But I'm looking at Ryan Brazier. Ryan Brazier, to me, that is the reliever of the year. Yes, Evan Phillips, Brusdar Graterol, they had really nice seasons. There's no doubt about that. But Ryan Brazier changed this bullpen. He changed the absolute complexion of the season, and I think he deserves a lot of credit. In fact, this Dodgers bullpen, through June 18th, they had a 4.98 ERA. That was 29th in Major League Baseball. That's a dumpster fire. They were absolute cheeks. And then you acquire Ryan Brazier, and since June 20th, the bullpen had a 2.29 ERA. And Ryan Brazier was outstanding. Had a 7.29 ERA with the Red Sox this season, got some time off. That's another point that I think is important too. I think it's incredibly important that he did have some time off. Did have the ability to kind of recharge that arm a little bit. He ends up with the Dodgers a 0.7 ERA. a .7 ERA. He was better with the Dodgers than Chris Martin was with the Dodgers last year. So he gets my reliever of the year. Let me know who's your reliever of the year. You could say Kike Hernandez. You could say, who knows, from a couple years ago, you could say Miguel Rojas. Miguel Rojas, to me, is my next award winner here, because who's my defensive player of the year? Next, for defensive player of the year, I'm going to go with Miguel Rojas. Miguel Rojas, watching him play defense this year was an absolute pleasure. It was a joy to watch. He had 12 defensive runs saved at that shortstop position. That was 5th in all of Major League Baseball. Who did the Dodgers have last year? Who's the guy who offensively was a dynamo but booted one in the Game 2 of the NLDS that I think really went a long way to costing the Dodgers that series? Trey Turner. Trey Turner has a -10 defensive run saved with the Phillies this year. He had a -10 defensive run save. Miguel Rojas, a 12 defensive run save. He also bought all the Dodgers rookies some Jordans, which I think is the coolest part ever. And I think another thing about Miguel Rojas I want to point out too, and I think it goes back to how this team was able to win 100 games, is they let everyone step up. It's not like, okay, you have one team leader and he's going to be the guy, the Justin Turner type. Anyone had the ability to say anything at any given time. Just when the Dodgers had that rough series in Kansas City and things were starting to go south, who was the player that talked to the team? It was Miguel Rojas. So give him credit. He's my defensive player of the year. Now, next we got who was my biggest surprise? Biggest surprise of the year, and all of you guys will know this. My biggest surprise of the year is that Miguel Vargas did not have a better rookie season. You guys know if Miguel Vargas had 1 million fans, I'm one of them. Miguel Vargas has one fan, that is me. If Miguel Vargas has no fans, then I'm no longer on this earth. If the world's against Miguel Vargas, I am against the world. But he didn't have a good year. That's the reality. He hit under 200, 85 weighted runs created plus. He's someone that really needs to figure things out in the offseason, really carry some momentum into next year. I think they'll pick up Muncy's option, and I think we could see a platoon situation with Miguel Vargas and Max Muncy. But yeah, the bottom line, he did not have a good year. That was my biggest surprise. And I definitely want to get into your comments because I see you guys light up that comment section, which is great. And we'll get to your season award picks. But that's my biggest surprise. And then biggest disappointment. Now, if you watch the preview show back before the season, my biggest disappointment, I said, was going to be Noah Syndergaard. And I proved to be right. And he still is my biggest disappointment. He made Craig Kimbrell look like peak Eric Gagne. Okay? He had a 7.16 ERA. They were trying to trade him for a bag of Cheetos. He was basically the couch on the side of the road that has the free sign on it. They were able to get Ahmed Rosario from it, which I think was a fantastic pickup. But through 12 starts, Noah Syndergaard had a 7.16 ERA. And among pitchers in franchise history, it's the 3rd worst start to a season for any Dodgers pitcher ever. He was historically bad. By the way, my favorite guy growing up, Hideo Nomo, was at 7.26 in 04. Carlos beat up the water cooler Perez. He had a 7.25 in 99. And Noah Syndergaard, a 7.16 in 2023. By the way, worst ERA through 24 starts, we won't bring it up, is Oral Hershiser, who had a 13.14 in 2000. But still, Noah Syndergaard was bad. And we thought that maybe he'd get that velocity back. Maybe he was going to be someone who could be a revelation for this team. But what was the big issue with Noah Syndergaard? He refused to reinvent himself. All he had to do was go over to Clayton Kershaw and ask how it was done. Kershaw doesn't throw 95 anymore. He's still effective. The issue with Noah Syndergaard, you talk to people around the league, they'll tell you he relies too much on velocity. And when he doesn't have high velocity, he can't be effective. And Thor was a thud. He just wasn't good with the Dodgers. But he did give us the creepiest thing that we've ever heard an athlete say after a game, when he told reporters that he would give up his unborn child to get back to the pitcher that he was. So, yeah, we're never going to forget that one. So he goes down as my biggest disappointment. Now, next award, the Team Cy Young. Who's the Team Cy Young? Another one. I could go the easy route. I could go Clayton Kershaw. I would not be wrong, but I'm going to give it to Bobby big time. Bobby Miller, 124 1/3 innings. That was second on the team. And just look how his career began. First start of his career was on the road in Atlanta, and he attacked that Braves lineup. He goes 5 innings, had 5 punch-outs, 1 earned run. He was outstanding. He was the only pitcher in modern history to throw 5+ innings while allowing no more than 4 hits and no more than 1 run in each of his first 4 career starts. It was Miller mania with the Dodgers. And then he had some setbacks. You saw the grand slam he gave up to Alex Bregman. You saw the home run he gave up to Lamont Wade. You saw him learn how to deal with his emotions on the mound. One thing that Bobby Miller has said is it's important for him to breathe. He just has to go out there, breathe, focus on the next pitcher, execute. I always think of Greg Maddux. When Greg Maddux used to say, don't try to make the perfect pitch, just make good pitches. Good pitches win you Cy Youngs. Good pitches get you big contracts and keep you in this league. And I think you're seeing that with Bobby Miller, because you've seen sometimes the velocity isn't triple digits. And when the velocity is a little down by his standards, still leads all of Major League Baseball in average 4-seam fastball for a starter, you see the command better. And I think he's realizing how to be able to execute by not just going out there and being a flamethrower. So I think we saw him go from a thrower to a pitcher in the matter of months. They absolutely fast-tracked their way to being an ace, and that's exactly what I think he's going to be for this team 4 years to come. It is going to be Bobby's world at Dodger Stadium. It is Miller time already, and I'm going to give him my team Cy Young. And then for the MVP, who is going to be the team MVP? My preseason pick was for Mookie Betts, and I got to stick with that. I think Mookie Betts is the team MVP. And we know that Freddie and Mookie, they both had phenomenal years. But Mookie, an 8.4 WAR. That's better than Ronald Acuna Jr. Okay, if it wasn't for pizza box bases and the new stolen base rules, Mookie would have been a runaway to win the MVP. And yes, Acuna Matata, he had a great year. We get that. But still, Mookie Betts is this team's MVP. And it's not just because he had a career year at the plate. It's not just because he's someone that year in and year out, he's a perennial top 5 player. It's him playing second base, him playing that shortstop position, which was the first time he did that since he played for low A with the Boston Red Sox organization in 2012. And what that allowed this team to do is allow them to put their best lineup on the field against right-handed pitching with Jason Hayward in right field, James Outman in center field, David Peralta in left field. Whereas the Braves, they had to, they had seven players that had over 20 home runs, right? 7 players that had over 20 home runs. Mookie Betts meant more to the Dodgers' success this year than Ronald Acuna meant to the Atlanta Braves. I believe that with all my heart. You can argue with a brick wall, but I'm telling you, Mookie Betts was this team's MVP. And then last one, my favorite moment of the year had to have been, there's a lot to pick from, 7 walk-offs, the grand slam off Kimbrel, Max Muncy against the Phillies. That one comes to mind. I think the clincher was big too, just because I think what it represented, but I'm going Mookie Betts' home run off of Josh Hader, 3-1 count, 2 outs, 9th inning. Let's roll that clip.
Out of the season, 3-1 pitch. That ball is hammered to left field. Off the bat of Betts, and it's gone in the seats. Mookie Betts, game-tying home run off Josh Hader.
Oh, God, I got to edit out Noah Syndergaard from that clip. But Marcus Lynn Betts, absolutely phenomenal year. I think the grand slam he had against the Padres in that comeback against Seth Lugo was also a great moment. But I think what was so special about that moment is that it really sent a message to that Padres team. This is still the Dodgers division, okay? This is still the NL West, a division that this team has dominated. You can try to keep Dodgers fans out of Dodger Stadium South. We understand that. You brought back Fernando Tatis, and you thought that adding Xander Bogaerts, having Juan Soto and Manny Machado was going to be enough. No, it wasn't. I think that sent a message. You look at the context there, too. Hader had only given up 1 run this season and had a 10-game scoreless streak, and you're talking about hitting a bomb off of Josh Hader. And I think also that game really illustrated what the Dodgers became that season, because with 2 outs and Freeman on third, Michael Busch, he had that line drive single to give the Dodgers a 1-run lead. And then James Outman, he would give the Dodgers their biggest lead of the weekend with that big home run. So you saw the vets, the superstars come through, and then you also saw the rookies come through. And I think that is what this season is going to be remembered most for. But let me know down below in the comment section, what was your favorite moment of the season? Who is your team MVP? What was your biggest disappointment? Do you agree with my picks? Let me know down below. We're going to now spend this next 10 minutes doing all comments, guys. So fire away, whatever you got. Let's see what you give me those team awards. let's rock and roll here. Watching the Padres fair weather faithful poo all down their legs is priceless. That's a bruh for sure from John C3P.
Bruh.
Lord, we got Strider, hear you. Dodgers have good prospects that are playing for them. Betts was traded for Freeman, was for free agent, but we don't go nuts with spending money to make superstar lineups. Yeah, that's the reality. I mean, look, don't get it twisted. I mean, the Dodgers have headliners. The Dodgers have Freddie and Mookie. Dodgers have a lot of superstars, but they're not frivolous, right? They're not out there just spending money like drunken sailors. They resisted the temptation of signing a Dansby Swanson or a Carlos Correa, who's a great player for a guy who has one leg, or an Aaron Judge, I think was always destined to go back to New York. They spend when you need it, right? And that's what wealthy people do, right? That's what wealthy people do. They're not going out there driving Lambos and, you know, wearing flashy clothes. I mean, look at billionaires, man. They're wearing like a navy blazer and like a white button-up shirt, right? But they own half of the real estate on Rodeo Drive, right? The Dodgers, they have that wealth. You can see rich, you can't see wealth. And what you can't see with the Dodgers is you can go see wealth. You can see when you sign a Manny Machado to that extension, which is going to be a bad move. You can see when you sign a Xander Bogaerts or try to make these moves. What you can't see, though, is the foundation, the farm system, the dedication to scouting and development, and all the resources that the Dodgers pour into this organization. That's why I think more than ever this year was a credit to this organization. This was the most organizational division championship that we've seen yet for this Dodgers organization. We got Strider here. He says, D-Mac, James Outman, big surprise. The caveman swing was a big concern for me, but he worked his stuff. He worked his butt off. I hope he remains a Dodger for a long time. That's a great point, Strider. Hear you. And I think a couple thoughts on James Outman are, one, big shoes to fill for Cody Bellinger. And the Dodgers, they smartly moved off of Belly, gets non-tendered, right? You don't bring him back. And you're talking about James Outman, who didn't have as great of a year as Cody Bellinger, maybe a little worse, but still a really, really awesome rookie season where he's going to finish top 3 in Rookie of the Year voting. But also you're talking about someone at $17 million less. And more importantly, now you know this is someone who's going to be pre-arbitration, right? He's going to be in your franchise as an affordable player for years to come as your starting center fielder, and you can use that money to get starting pitching, to get a reliever, to get another position player. So I think you got the experience. It was great that he played great, but now you got valuable experience where you know he's going to be a part of this franchise for years to come. You mentioned his swing. He's someone that went to Sac State, right? They draft him. And the day he got drafted, he talked to Dodgers hitting coaches, and he said, I'm all ears. Let's break down my swing. Let's break it up. Let's blow this thing up. Started from scratch, rebuilt that swing, and is now an everyday big leaguer. I can't stress this enough. The success story that James Outman is, a 7th-round pick who is going to be a foundational player, it doesn't get any better than that. So I agree with that. But, yeah, give me those MVPs. Give me those surprises, disappointments. We got Anthony Keene. My favorite moment of the season was the comeback win against Toronto. Outman with the walk-off and the fans behind him at home plate, completely destroying the Blue Jays pitchers' concentration. Yeah, those fans were epic. And that was one of the best comebacks. I think that's a great one. You could talk about Chris Taylor's grand slam against the Orioles, against the White Sox at home to tie things up. But I love that one too because it really just showed how much this team loved and embraced James Outman. Give him the bath, give him the Gatorade bath, and just that was a big win for sure. Blue Jays won. We got Strider, hear you, 180. Max Muncy had a tough season, but he figured it out. Fans can complain about bad batting average, but every at-bat, Muncy will work his butt off to get walks, base hits, and homers. Yeah, look, the reality with Max Muncy is you got to kind of have to throw, and like I said, this week, I have a whole episode dedicated to my biggest concerns for this season. You don't want to miss that because one of those concerns is Max Muncy at third. It's been a bar of soap season for Max Muncy. What I mean by that is the baseball has been a bar of soap with his ability to control it. But yeah, you bring up a great point in the fact that he does continue to tinker and try to get his swing right. You saw the step back move that he picked up in Colorado last year, right? It was mirrored off of Nolan Arenado, and how that kind of got him back on track. But the reality is, they went Max Muncy, his swing, it plays up in the postseason. And the reason for that is, in the postseason, you go against better pitching. You go against more high velocity. You're going to have more high leverage at bats. And swings that play up everyone talks about stuff that plays up in the postseason, right? High velocity fastballs, nasty, filthy changeups, and sliders and curveballs. But in the postseason, batting wise, a short, compact stroke A bat that can get to all parts of the plate and cover all fields and cover all parts of the plate is something that you need. And there's a reason why Max Muncy in his postseason career has an 824 OPS. There's a reason why he is someone that has had a lot of success in big moments. So, yeah, I'm excited about Max Muncy, having a healthy Max Muncy. And I had talked to Dave Roberts a few weeks ago, and I asked Dave Roberts point blank, I said, how is it going to feel to have a healthy Max Muncy, and how important is that going to be to the Dodgers lineup? And one, I made everyone in the room knock on every piece of wood that they could find because I didn't want to jinx him. And thankfully, we made it into the postseason healthy. But he said it's going to be very important, and it's not just the home runs. It's the ability to end those cold spells. And last year, with the Max Muncy that wasn't right, you saw in the Padres series, they go 5 for 34 with runners in scoring position. He's a big reason why I think you're going to see big home runs. I'm looking for at least 2 home runs for Max Muncy in that NLDS. Abdur Rahim Briggs says, my MVP is Jason Hayward. Yeah, Jason Hayward, J-Hay, he's been a breath of fresh air for this team. I think he's one of the more popular guys on the team. His teammates love him. He also has a voice. He's got a voice, and veterans listen to him. Rookies listen to him. And the most important thing is they got him for a bag of chips. Shout out to the Chicago Cubs paying him basically just under $22 million to be a great player for the Dodgers in his role this season. And the reality is this is the best year he's had in years. He ends up finishing the year, Jason Hayward, hitting 269. That was up from 204 last year. His OBP goes from 278 to 340. His slugging went from 277 to 473. Last year with the Cubs, he hit 1 home run in 151 plate appearances. This year with the Dodgers, 15 home runs in 377 plate appearances. Jason Hayward is the man, and I think that he's someone that I would like to see back with this Dodgers team. I really would. He's made his money. He loves playing with Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts. He's someone I would love to see back in Dodger blue. Let me know down below in the comment section if you would like to see J-Hay back in LA. But here we go. We got James. Defense is as good as Cody's with speed. Doug Randolph. I think they're close. I think that Cody Bellinger, he could fly out there. Albin told me himself. I said, ask James Albin. I said, what's the number one thing that you learn from Cody Bellinger? And he said, you really can't learn how he flies because he flies out there and he gets the balls. And I think that James Albin instinctively, he's learned to take better routes. And physically, I think he can get to a lot of balls. But Cody Bellinger was a special outfielder. But I think that they're close enough where you say, hey, give me that discounted version for sure. But J-Hay is the perfect fit for this LA team from Conservative Zach. We have to re-sign. That's for Massive Aloha. We got Carnivorous Lunar Activity in the chat. But a few more here, guys, and we'll let you enjoy the rest of that Monday. If you got a case of the Mondays, thanks for joining us here on the Dodgers Dugout live show. We'll be coming at you Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock in the morning, breaking down all things Dodger baseball, interviews, breakdowns, everything you need to know and more. But will JD be back? That's from Devin. Look, I think with JD Martinez, it's a good question do they sign Shohei Ohtani? Okay, because Shohei Ohtani will not be pitching next season, so the only way you could provide value is at the plate, so he would be your everyday designated hitter. And just dingers, it stands for, JD stands for just dingers. It doesn't stand for just defense, okay? And you're not going to have him as your left fielder. I do think JD Martinez has positioned himself to sign one more nice contract in Major League Baseball, some in 3 years, 4 years, maybe 30 to $40 million range, something like that, because he's very productive and he still has as a hitter. So I anticipate him elsewhere unless the Dodgers don't sign Shohei Ohtani, and then maybe they do that. But even if they do, I think that it would be a question of, you look at Will Smith, the year he had, maybe you want to keep the flexibility with that spot. But we got Craig Oatsberg. Will you and Clint Beyonce? Yeah, tonight we'll be doing Blue Heaven Live for sure. But look, or probably not actually. But JRM says, I'm assuming JD will get the bag money from another team. I think he absolutely will. Who are we rooting for, D-Mac, Brewers or Diamondbacks to win? Hepatitis, see you later. I think, and we'll end on that one, and we'll come at you guys tomorrow. I think for that one, I kind of would tend to say the Diamondbacks. I think the Diamondbacks, the familiarity for that team, the matchup. Look, I mean, this Dodgers team has had their way with both franchises, really. I mean, you saw in 2020, that's who they played in that first round, the Brewers, and they were able to take care of business. Clayton Kershaw, that 13 punch-out game. We saw the Diamondbacks early in 2017. So I'd rather play the Diamondbacks team. I don't want to face that Brewers team, but at the very least, that Brewers team, when you look at their rotation, where you got Woodruff, you got Peralta, you got my guy Corbin Burns, you have a pretty steady bullpen to get the ball to Devin Williams. got a lot of power righties in that series. I think the fact that they're going to be competing that wild card series. Only thing I'm rooting for right now is that series to go as long as possible. But that's going to do it for this episode of Dodgers Dugout Live. Thank you for joining us this morning, and definitely be sure to subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends about the show. We'll be coming at you live every single Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. talking all things Dodger baseball. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on the X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. If you have not yet, be sure to subscribe to the Dodgers Nation YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and let us know down below. What are your thoughts to Clayton Kershaw as the Game 1 starter in the NLDS? Do you think that Dave Roberts deserves Manager of the Year? Do you want to give him some flowers down below and say, hey, he's the right manager for this team? Let me know down below. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.